Have you ever stopped to think about what it would take for a computer to truly understand the world? I don't just mean processing text. I mean grasping the deep connections between, say, a company, its financial statements, and the physical factories it actually operates. Well, today we're diving into that exact quest, the incredibly ambitious goal of building one single, unified model to organize all of the world's knowledge. Just let that sink in for a second. How would you even start a project like that? We're not talking about just cataloging websites or books here. We're talking about structuring the very concepts of our reality, everything from biology and physics to finance and law, in a way that a machine can reason about them. It is, without a doubt, one of the biggest challenges in information science. And no, that number is not a typo. Over 900 person-years, a single project called Psych, which kicked off way back in 1984, has invested this much human effort just trying to build a knowledge base of common sense. You know, the stuff we all take for granted, like the fact that you can't be in two places at once. To give you some perspective, that's like one person starting the project before the fall of the Byzantine Empire and working on it until today. The sheer scale of that effort, it just tells you how mind-bendingly difficult this problem really is. And here's the kicker. After all that time, all that effort, the general consensus is it's a dead end. Yeah. Trying to build one single giant all-knowing brain, what we call a monolithic model, it turns out to be a trap. It just gets too complex, too expensive, and too fragile to ever really work. But don't worry, this isn't a story about failure. It's a story about finding a much, much smarter way to get the job done. Okay, so let's start there. Let's dig into this first approach, the monolithic model. What makes the idea of a single source of truth so appealing? And more importantly, why does it always seem to collapse under its own weight? This slide really gets to the heart of it. It lays out the two big strategies. Over on the left, you've got that monolithic model, the one giant brain we talked about. But check out the right side, the federated model. Now think of this less like a single brain and more like a team of experts. You have a bunch of smaller, highly specialized models for different domains, and you just teach them how to talk to each other. And the amazing thing? This second approach, the federated model, has actually worked, and it's worked on a massive scale. So, you're probably asking, where is the proof? Where has this federated idea actually been successful? Well, the single best success story comes from a field you might not expect, biology and medicine. And this isn't just an opinion. The source material is crystal clear here. The Open Biological and Biomedical Ontology Foundry, or OBO for short, is considered the gold standard. These folks were facing the unbelievably complex task of organizing the entire world of genes, cells, diseases, you name it, and they absolutely nailed it. And this is how they pulled it off. It's brilliant. The OBO Foundry doesn't even try to build one model for all of biology. No way. Instead, it acts like a coordinator for hundreds of separate, independent modules, each one managed by the top experts in that specific field. So what's the secret sauce? The thing that makes it all work together? It's simple. Every single module has to agree to align with a common high-level structural spine. It's like everyone agreeing to use the same universal blueprint for reality itself. Which brings us to what is probably the single most important decision you have to make in this whole process, choosing that foundational spine. This thing acts like a Rosetta Stone, right? It's the common framework that lets a model about finance actually understand and connect to a model about manufacturing. The leading candidate and the engine that powers the OBO Foundry is something called Basic Formal Ontology, or BFO. Now, the key thing to get about BFO is its philosophy. It's a realist ontology. That means it doesn't care about how we talk about the world. It tries to model the structure of reality itself. It makes this super clean, fundamental split between continuance, that's things that exist through time, like you or your car, and occurrence, which are things that happen in time, like a meeting or a chemical process. The strict focus on reality is what makes it so stable and so valuable for science. And to really appreciate BFO, it helps to look at its main alternative, which is called Dolce. See, Dolce is a descriptive ontology. It takes the total opposite approach. It's not trying to model reality directly. Instead, it's trying to model the way we humans think and talk about reality, using concepts from our everyday language. It's fantastic for things like linguistics, for sure, but it's just not built to model the physical world with scientific rigor. This table just lays it all out so clearly. First, look at the size column. See how BFO is intentionally tiny? Only about 35 core terms. That's what makes it so stable. Now, jump over to the best suited for column. BFO is purpose-built for scientific and physical reality, and it's the backbone of the incredibly successful OBO and industrial foundries. You can see how Dolce is better for language, and those huge ones, like Psych, well, that's the monolithic approach we already talked about. All the evidence from projects that actually work points straight to BFO as the most practical foundation. Okay, so we've picked our spine. We're going with BFO. Now, where do we find all the expert modules, the building blocks for stuff like finance or supply chains or manufacturing, to actually plug into it? Well, to do that, you have to understand the massive difference between a foundry and a repository. I absolutely love the metaphor the source material uses for this. A foundry is like a curated art gallery. Everything inside has been carefully selected, it's top quality, and most importantly, it's guaranteed to work with the other pieces. It's designed to align with the BFO standard. A repository, on the other hand, is like a gigantic warehouse. It's an amazing tool for finding literally everything out there, but there are no guarantees about quality or compatibility. So when you're trying to build a solid, reliable model, you always start with the art gallery. So that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, the actual blueprint. We've got the philosophy, we've got the parts. How do we put it all together and actually build this world model? The report gives us a super clear 4-step strategy. All right, here's the game plan. Step 1, commit to one foundation. Based on everything we've seen, that means BFO. Step 2, adopt the foundry model. This is so important. You don't try to merge everything into one giant mess. You connect the expert modules by mapping between them. Step 3, you prioritize. You start with the easy wins, all those modules in the OBO foundry that are already BFO aligned. Then you can start mapping other critical standards like FIBO for the financial world. And finally, step 4 is where the rubber meets the road. You need a standard way to pull in live data from the real world. So for that last step, how do you actually model incoming data? The recommendation is a simple but really powerful standard called SOSA. That's sensor, observation, sample, and actuator. It basically gives you a universal grammar for any observation. It says a sensor makes an observation about a feature of interest, which gives you a result. So think of a traffic camera observing a car and reporting its speed, or a satellite observing a farm and reporting its soil moisture. This simple structure is the bridge that connects the real world to our knowledge model. And that really brings it all home. The report concludes with a lot of confidence that this federated strategy, building on BFO, using curated modules from foundries, and pulling in data with SOSA, isn't just a nice theory. It's a robust, scalable, and standards-based path to finally reaching that incredible goal of an integrated world model. So, we've journeyed from what seemed like an impossible dream to a practical, proven blueprint, a way to connect expert knowledge across almost every single field of human endeavor. Which means the final question isn't really about how we can build it anymore, but why. If you had a system that could connect all this knowledge in a truly meaningful way, what's the first huge problem you would try to solve?